Dean.
Greetings and salutations. You a Heather?
No.
Welcome to the Shermer High Alumni Association. I'm Kristin.
I'm Jeannine.
And I'm Carole.
And we rewatch movies from the 80s to determine, did that age well?
This week's movie is Heathers. And if your name isn't Heather, congratulations. Your odds of survival just went way up. Hey, Veronica survived explosions and JD. So you'll survive too. Grab your scrunchies and your croquet mallets as we dive headfirst into one of the darkest, weirdest, and most iconic teen movies ever made.
Join us as we rewind, rewatch, and remember the decade that shaped us. Hi, guys.
Hola.
Hey there.
What's happening?
Not much. What's happening with you?
We all have a lot going on, right?
It's May. May is just
It's going to be
It's gonna be May.
It's going to be May. I'm getting ready to come to Cleveland.
Yay.
You're coming to the land. Jeannine's going to Ireland.
Jeannine's going to Ireland. You
Man.
have a graduating baby.
I do. Today was her official last day of school. And I got to work and I was like, this was the last time I have to wake her up for school.
Yeah.
Aw.
It's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard. Oh,
We're all just getting so old.
we are.
I know, but it does start that next phase of your life.
Next
Oh,
chapter.
Yeah, that next chapter.
It's all
which is-
exciting.
It's great.
It's a little untethering. I think that's the word.
Okay.
It's like, what did I forget? My keys, what have I forgotten here? And it's really nothing. It's just, you tend to have a lot more time on your hands. So then you just start a podcast with your sisters.
Oh,
Right.
I feel like if anybody didn't have time to start a podcast, it was you, Kristin.
Why?
I don't know. You always have 800 million things going on.
But I have to. Ask Tavia. Like, I'm not a sit still kind of gal, but
That's how I am.
I feel like I never was, but recently I'm more like, I'd like to just sit down on this couch for a while.
I'm getting a little better at that. I am.
I do that. After 7:00, don't talk to me.
Yeah. I kind of like a good sit down.
I'm just going to fry my brain and watch stupid YouTube.
Yes. It's great.
And I
then
love
part of
that
me-
for me.
And then the whole time that I'm doing that, I'm thinking, I should be doing something else. I should go out and walk. I should
Yeah.
go work out. I should go
Yeah.
make dinner. I should go clean the kitchen. And I'm like, nah,
Wow,
I'm
your
just gonna-
brain is very busy.
You have no idea what goes on inside of this head. It's wacky. Like Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my brain. All of this background is my brain.
That seems accurate.
I do a lot of that thinking too, though, Jeannine. But then you have to realize that you do need rest. You need your downtime.
No, you can rest when you're dead.
Wow.
Jeez.
At least that's what I've been told. Or there's no rest for the wicked, or what's the saying? We're just not
I mean,
allowed to
either
rest.
of those.
Yeah. So I do
Well-
try to take some time to have some sit down.
Well, I guess you could ask some of the characters from Heathers if you can rest when you're dead.
Ooh, you're right. You're right. So should we talk about what this movie is about?
If we have to.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, that's
Wow.
a statement.
Jesus. Flashbacks of Xanadu. What the hell?
I think
No,
I'm just-
it's a dark movie.
it is a dark movie.
It's heavy.
It's what makes it amazingly funny.
So do you guys remember watching this?
Oh, I own it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you do?
Oh,
I've
yeah.
seen this movie about 80 million
Yes.
times.
Absolutely.
But why?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a cult classic.
But we didn't know what a cult classic was in 1989,
No,
right?
I think it was the shock factor that it was like we weren't really allowed to watch this.
Well, and this was before people actually shot up schools, too.
Right.
So there's
Yes.
some humor in that because that wasn't a thing.
No.
You have this great cast. You hadn't really seen Christian Slater before, and he was intriguing, right?
Yep.
The whole thing, that black comedy of it is just pure genius, in my opinion. And when we hadn't really seen Quentin Tarantino wasn't really a thing yet, the Coen brothers, stuff like that. And this was one of those first, and it lends to our family because we're a family of sarcasm and really strange humor. So I assume you had not seen this before,
Not in a long time.
but you had seen it before.
I had seen it, and now I'm wondering if it was in its entirety.
Okay.
I don't remember the end,
Wow.
but I don't know.
Okay.
I might have just blocked it from my mind. I don't know. But I watched it now.
Very interesting.
Is it going to rain the entire time I'm in Cleveland?
Probably.
Awesome.
Cleveland loves its rain this year. We're just a sloppy mess.
I'm going to a country where it rains constantly.
Yeah.
So I literally have all the rain gear,
Yeah, you'll be fine.
all of it.
You won't mind it.
Sure. Anyway.
Yeah.
The movie this week, Veronica is part of the most popular clique at her high school, but she disapproves of the girls' cruel behavior. When Veronica and her new boyfriend JD confront clique leader Heather Chandler and accidentally poison her, they make it appear to be a suicide. Soon, Veronica realizes that JD is intentionally killing students he does not like. She races to stop JD while also clashing with the clique's new leader, Heather Duke.
You didn't accidentally poison her.
Veronica accidentally poisoned her. JD did.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Correct.
So our lead role is Winona Ryder, who was born Winona Laura Horowitz on October 29th, 1971 in Winona County, Minnesota. She was named after the nearest city to the rural farmhouse where she was born. Her middle name came from Laura Huxley, wife of writer Aldous Huxley, who were friends with her parents. And she took her stage name from rock singer Mitch Ryder, a favorite of her father's. She made her film debut in Lucas in 1986 and rose to prominence in Beetlejuice in 1988, followed by Heathers, Edward Scissorhands, Mermaids, and Bram Stoker's Dracula. She received back-to-back Academy Award nominations for Best Supporting Actress for The Age of Innocence in 1993 and Best Actress for Little Women in 1994, and won a Golden Globe for the latter. Her career in the mid to late 90s included Reality Bites, The Crucible, and Girl Interrupted. Following a highly publicized shoplifting arrest in 2001, she stepped back from acting before returning in the late 2000s with roles in Star Trek and Black Swan. She experienced a full career resurgence beginning in 2016 with her role as Joyce Byers in Stranger Things, which ran through 2025. And she returned to the big screen in 2024 with Beetlejuice.
We also have Christian Slater, who was born Christian Michael Leonard Slater on August 18th, 1969 in New York City. He made his film debut in The Legend of Billie Jean in 1985 and gained wider recognition with his breakout role as the sociopathic JD in Heathers. Through the 1990s, he starred in a string of high-profile films including Young Guns 2, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, True Romance, and Interview with the Vampire. He received critical acclaim for his role in the USA Network series Mr. Robot, which ran from 2015 to 2019 and earned him the Golden Globe for supporting actor in a series. More recently, he won a Children's and Family Emmy for his lead role in the Spiderwick Chronicles in 2024. Slater has also maintained an extensive voice acting career with notable roles in Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest, the animated series Archer, and several DC animated films.
I miss Mr.
Wonderful.
Robot. That was a brilliant show. So good.
I'm sure you can watch it somewhere. Well, we also have Shannon Doherty, who was born Shannon Maria Doherty on April 12th, 1971, in Memphis, Tennessee. She passed away July 13th, 2024, from cancer at the age of 53. She began her career as a child actress with early roles on Little House on the Prairie and the series Our House. She appeared in Girls Just Want to Have Fun in 1985 before landing the role of Heather Duke in Heathers in 1988. She became a household name as Brenda Walsh on Beverly Hills 90210, a role she returned to in the revival series 90210 and the limited series BH 90210. She later starred as Prue Halliwell on Charmed from 1998 to 2001 and appeared in Mallrats in 1995. In the final weeks of her life, she recorded 5 episodes for a Charmed rewatch podcast, which she had helped fund. Her best friend later shared that Doherty did not want to be remembered as the actress who had cancer, but rather for her animal activism, including her efforts to establish a sanctuary for wild horses.
We also
Love you,
have,
Shannon Doherty.
yeah, Shannon Doherty. We also have Lisanne Falk, who was born on December 3rd, 1964, and is best known for her role as Heather McNamara in Heathers. She began her career as a model before transitioning to acting and retired from the screen in 2002. She returned in 2024 with a role in the film Seed of Doubt and a television appearance in FBI International.
And to round out the Heathers, we have Kimberly Ann Walker, who was born June 19th, 1968 in Manhattan, New York. She passed away March 6th of 2001 at the age of 32 from a brain herniation caused by a brain tumor at her home in Studio City, LA. She is best known for her role as Heather Chandler in Heathers and had additional roles in Say Anything in 1989 and The Outsiders in 1990.
So the budget on this movie was $3 million,
Which
which
seemed
seems kind of low.
it didn't really have a lot of shooting locations.
And there was no helicopter.
There was no helicopter.
So I guess that does make sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And any idea what kind of money this movie brought in?
Billions.
No. It only brought in $1.1 million.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It must not have been marketed. It couldn't, it must not have. Go on. Sorry.
The movie is rated R, which makes sense. It came out on October 24th, 1988 in Italy. Then it was released January 21st, 1989 at Sundance. And then officially released in the United States on March 31st, 1989. New World Pictures was going bankrupt. The film was considered a failure when it was released, earning $177,247 in its opening weekend.
Ouch.
And ultimately only grossing $1.1 million in the United States over 5 weeks.
You know why? Because it was rated R.
Yeah.
If it had been rated PG-13, I
Yeah.
don't know why it was rated R.
Maybe because people were being killed.
The violence of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. But if it had been rated PG-13, people would have gone to see it.
Sure.
And this
And
would have
why-
hit well with the teenage crowd.
Why was it released in Italy?
maybe at a film festival.
Similar to
Italians really love
Sundance, yeah.
people named Heather.
Yeah,
No.
totally.
They just may have been testing the waters with a film festival in Italy before bringing it to Sundance.
I guess so. So I
Yeah.
wonder how it did in Italy. I didn't read anything on that.
Yeah, and it might not have statistics because if it was a film festival,
Yeah, you
you
wouldn't
don't
know
really
because
know.
people were just forced to watch
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, same with Sundance.
Well, true. The principal photography took place over 33 days beginning in July 1988. Although set in Ohio, filming was done entirely in LA. Westerberg High School is a combination of Corvallis High School, now Bridges Academy in Studio City, Verdugo Hills High School in Tujunga, and John Adams Middle School in Santa Monica. The gymnasium scenes were shot at Verdugo Hills High, and the climactic scene on the stairs was filmed outside John Adams Middle School. The funeral scenes were filmed at Church of the Angels in Pasadena, California, a location also used in Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Just Married. Who's with Ashton? No, is that with Ashton Kutcher?
Was it?
I thought it was too.
Yeah, 2003. Yeah, Ashton Kutcher
Oh,
and
Brittany
Brittany
Murphy.
Murphy.
She's dead, you know.
Oh, jeez. Yeah,
I am my
you
father's
ready?
daughter.
Yeah. You ready to do this?
Let's do it. The movie opens in a dream / fantasy state, and the song
Que sera, sera.
Hey Sarah Sarah is playing. Not the original version, but it's like a remake version of it. And we see the back of the head of a girl who is putting a red scrunchie in her hair. And then we see 3 girls are sitting outdoors on some wrought iron outdoor furniture, and they're drinking some bevies. They're playing a round of croquet, and in that, they leave their lawn furniture and they walk through a bed of flowers. And there's a lot of visual pieces in this movie that some people may pick up on it, some people may not. But the symbolism of Que Sera Sera and these girls walking through a bed of flowers, it just kind of indicates, I always just think of like Teenage Wasteland, this sort of apathy towards, I don't know, being a human being. We now see 3 girls walking on the grass, and these 3 girls are all named Heather. We have Heather Duke, played by Shannon Doherty. We have Heather McNamara, who was, I know we just said this, who was played by Lizanne Falk. And then we have Heather Chandler, who was played by Kimberly Walker. They're playing croquet and they each take turns hitting the ball, ending with Heather Chandler hitting Veronica in the head because Veronica is in the ground. She's inside the grass. It's just her head. But this is just a dream or some sort of daydream. And that is when Veronica starts her Dear Diary. And a lot of this movie is voiceover of Veronica writing in her diary. We are at the high school that these girls attend, and Veronica is sitting on the stairs reading a book or a textbook, and she's got a monocle in. And there's something you start to notice with how these girls dress. I probably mention it at some point, but so she's reading books with a monocle. She's summoned to the cafeteria by Heather Duke and Heather McNamara, and so there's so many one-liners in this movie. And this is where the first one comes, is when Heather McNamara nudges Veronica and Veronica goes, "What's your damage, Heather?" Quote number one.
Yes.
Veronica is summoned to the cafeteria. It's obviously lunchtime. And Heather Chandler, who is the head of this girl group, needs Veronica to forge a note that she had gotten from Kurt Kelly that was hot and horny and gross. But she wants Veronica, who has this knack for forging other people's handwriting. And she tells Veronica, Chandler tells Veronica that she low-key needs a note in Kurt's handwriting to put on Martha Dump Truck's lunch tray. A few things here. First of all, Hello Gen X came up with the phrase low-key. Boop. And Veronica responds, and I don't have anything against Martha Dunstock. And she properly says her last name as opposed to Dump Truck, alluding to this girl has a weight problem. And Heather Chandler, she's got some zingers, man. She was written brilliantly. And she responds saying the note will give her shower nozzle masturbation material for weeks. So Veronica writes the note. And okay, so this is where we'll talk about the Heathers and their fashion. They don't dress like normal teenagers in 1989.
No.
The multiple brooches, these 1980s power blazers with the shoulder pads. And it's just, I think, what they're doing consciously or subconsciously is that they're elevating themselves beyond high schoolers, right? We also see this in a little bit when Heather Chandler goes over to another table of popular kids, and you can just tell just based on their dress that they see themselves as way out of the league of anybody within that high school. There is something in this where I don't know if it was when Heather Chandler was passing the note to Heather Duke, but she calls her a pillowcase.
Yeah. I meant to look up what that meant.
Yeah.
How is she a pillowcase? So they've got something, I don't know if it's for the yearbook or the paper or whatever, but they have this lunchtime poll that they do. And Heather Chandler and Veronica set off to go do this poll. And Veronica sees for the first time JD sitting in the corner looking at her. Because she's distracted by looking at JD, she runs into Betty Finn, which, to note, was played by Renee Estevez, sister of Emilio and Charlie Sheen, and daughter of Martin Sheen. That was Betty Finn. You can tell that Veronica and Betty used to be pretty close friends. Veronica makes apologies that she wasn't able to come to her birthday last month. And Betty says that she understands and she knows that Veronica had a date or whatever. And Heather Chandler interrupts her, like, we gotta go. Let's get out of here. They approach a table, and this is that other table of the popular kids. And Heather Chandler sarcastically compliments the girl Courtney's cardigan. And Courtney brags to the boy across from her that she got it last night at the Limited, and she blew her whole allowance. And that's just another thing, considering somebody who has an allowance or somebody who shops at the Limited is less than a Heather. Okay. And there's a line in this that is this big kind of bone of contention with Gen X. There is this belief system that Ed McMahon was the one who gave out Publishers Clearinghouse checks, and he didn't. And so there's this conspiracy theory that it's been erased from existence, but he really never had any association with Publishers Clearinghouse. Heather Chandler in this statement says a few key words. She says, when the publisher's sweepstakes and that big Ed guy comes to hand you whatever it was, $10,000, what are you going to do with it? Or $5 million? And I think that line right there is the reason why there's so much confusion over Ed McMahon's association with Publishers Clearinghouse. That's just my conspiracy theory. They leave that table, whatever. And Veronica's just making some comments to Heather Chandler, and your quotable number 2 of the movie, fuck me gently with a chainsaw. Classic.
I'm not Mother Teresa.
Yes. We then see that because the letter that Veronica wrote has been put on Martha's lunch tray, we now see Martha gets this letter and reads it. And she doesn't immediately react to it. There's some time, which it appears she thinks about this. But eventually she gets up and she goes over to this Kurt guy who is your typical idiot jock. Typecasted. I'm not saying jocks are idiots or idiots are jocks, just that role. And they laugh her out of the room. It's so gross. The Heathers are in the restroom during lunch. I think it's still during lunch. This is a long ass lunch period. And Heather Duke needs Veronica's help to throw up. So we see Heather Duke as a bulimic. We don't know why. Heather Chandler completely is berating her because of this. And they return back to the lunchroom, which looks like the exact lunchroom from Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, it kind of does.
You're right.
Veronica then approaches JD's table and he says, next quotable, greetings and salutations. She asks him the poll, and Kurt and Ram don't like this interaction that JD and Veronica are having. And so after the girls leave JD's table, Kurt and Ram go over and try to intimidate JD, saying that there's a no fags rule at the school, to which JD responds that there must be an open door policy on assholes. And he stands up and he shoots both of them. You don't know until a minute or two later, we have some more croquet. The girls are playing croquet. They're always doing this at Veronica's house. She must have the best house. She appears to have the best house. She has a better house than Heather Chandler.
She has their croquet set.
Well, she doesn't. She lives in more of a...
And they have pate.
Grand home.
Is this why we had croquet?
Yes. That's the only reason.
I think that's the only reason I would know if croquet exists.
Yeah.
And during the croquet, there's the next quotable, which is, did you have a brain tumor for breakfast? Which was set to Shannon Doherty, who didn't have a brain tumor, but it didn't.
No, but Heather Chandler.
Oh, she did.
Die tumor.
Oh my God.
Like the actress.
The actress. I know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
They're talking about that evening and how Heather Chandler is giving Veronica her chance to go to a college party. She's calling it this Remington. There is no Remington College in Ohio. And we see them at like a snack shack or a gas station. And I think Heather Chandler, I think that's like the late 80s Mustang. I couldn't tell from the front of it, but it did look like that late 80s Mustang. And it's got the Ohio plates. That's is it Sherwood, Ohio? And Veronica's going to go into the snack shack to get something. And she asks Heather Chandler, what which corn nuts do you want? And I didn't understand exactly why we were talking about corn nuts. And she wanted the barbecue. Is that what
Veronica said, "What do you want
you
in the
plain or
store?"
barbecue?
And she was like, "Corn nuts."
She's
She's
plain or
like,
barbecue. And she's barbecue.
BBQ,
Or,
BBQ or plain? And she's BBQ.
yeah, it would. I don't know if I've ever had corn nuts.
Was it a very popular snack back then?
Were corn nuts popular? Okay. The lady who went to the high school and the college in the 80s is telling us that it was popular.
Did she also drink a lot of slushies?
There's a few Slurpee.
Slush.
I drank the Slurpee. They're either a Slurpee person or an icy person.
With corn nuts, like
Well,
together.
not with the corn. No, I did not. It wasn't not pairing.
Obviously, corn nuts come into play here quite soon, but so Veronica is in the snack shacky place and JD just happens to be there. And she admits to him that she doesn't really like the friends. Now we see Heather and Veronica at this Remington party. And this is another visual of the movie that we see. And we should talk about the directors of these movies probably a little bit more. But everything's red. Not the people or the clothing or what, but the lighting is all red. The guys that they even are meeting up with don't even look that cool at all. Ew. I'm
No,
sure
but they're
like,
college kids. It
because,
doesn't
like,
matter.
they're up there on that scale of, oh my God, what's her name? Elizabeth Shue's boyfriend in Adventures with Babysitting. Just like that same sort of vibe. And the one guy is, did you bring your partying slippers?
Yeah. I was
What?
like, huh? So they're
What?
throwing their coats on the floor, but they're supposed to be
Right. You're
wearing
like,
slippers.
put your
'cause-
coats on the
What?
floor. Go fuck yourself. I'm not putting my coat on the floor. There are cutaways from this party to Veronica at home furiously writing in her diary. And she writes so big, she gets like 6 words per page. And she's wearing her monocle while writing in the diary.
Now I want a monocle.
I know, right?
Me too.
Like
No.
a real one, like a reader style
Yes.
one, like my plus 150s here.
Me too.
And then we see that Heather Chandler is with the one dude, and she really wants to go into the party. She wants to party, and she does not get to do that. She's got to give a little bit of a blowjob. And you can tell she hates herself. Veronica ends up in a room that the guy she's supposed to be with isn't in yet. But then he comes in and he lays down and she starts to give this speech about having sex or whatever for suitors. And the guy is saying the speech is for Malcolm X. I just want to get laid.
Yeah.
What?
The hell did that mean?
He's a real douche.
So Veronica's writing in her diary furiously that she has to stop Heather. And there's a scene where Veronica's trying to tell Heather that she does not feel good. Either her drinks have been drugged or something, but she is getting sick. And Heather is having none of this. They leave this party and Heather Chandler is like, you stupid fuck. And then Veronica says, you goddamn bitch. And Heather Chandler goes on about her throwing up all over the place. Next quotable. Lick it up, baby. Lick it up. And Veronica swears that by Monday, or Heather swears that by Monday, Veronica is over. JD shows up at Veronica's house that night and they play strip croquet and have the sexy time. The next morning they go to Heather's and create a concoction. And JD does one with a Drano. He's, let's give her the Drano. I don't remember what it was called. And Veronica goes, we can't do that. That'll kill her. We'll do orange juice and milk. And he continues to pour this Drano antifreeze looking shit into a mug. And she does the milk and orange juice. And they have some kisses. And she grabs the wrong mug.
I'm sorry, what does orange juice and milk do?
And probably just curdles.
It makes you throw up. And so the idea is that she was going to drink it and throw up in front of her friends at school.
I got
Embarrass herself. Because she's always so perfect.
Well, they get up to Heather's room and she's like laying there like an idiot princess. And she wakes up and she's mad and she's hungover. And Veronica, I knew you were going to be hungover, so we came over to help you. And there's just this back and forth. And Heather ends up drinking this Drano. And she's going to throw up. I think she would have originally just thrown up. I don't think she would have died. But she ends up choking on the corn nuts. And that's what suffocates her. And she falls and she crashes through a glass table in her room and is just dead. Veronica is in shock. JD doesn't seem to be in shock. He seems to be like, all right, we'll figure this out. Veronica's, I'm not going to get into Stanford and stuff like that, right? And JD's kind of walking around the room trying to figure out what to do. And his eyes fall to an issue of Info magazine where the lead title is The Fall of the American Teen. And next to it is a Cliff Notes of the Bell Jar. And if you don't know the Bell Jar, go get the Cliff Notes. So he puts both of those things together and he comes up with the whole story of her committing suicide. And Veronica, who can write in anybody's handwriting, writes the suicide note. The next we see is a staff meeting where every teacher is smoking. And they decide to let the kids out an hour early that day because Heather Chandler died.
What is 1 hour going to do?
I know. And that's kind of what Heather McNamara is saying as they're in the girls' gym. And Heather Duke is just going at it with a thing of chicken wings. She's just having the time of her life. Veronica goes home and has like the same exact conversation with her parents as she did at the beginning of the movie. It's like the same exact kind of conversation. Why do I smoke these? At the beginning, it was like, why do I read this paper or something like that? Because you're an idiot. And now it's like, why do I smoke these cigarettes? Because you're an idiot. And it all comes back to, do you want some pate? So this kind of represents this whole teenager's view of their parents, right? Mrs. Fleming, who's she's kind of like that hippie teacher. She's kind of like the free-spirited teacher. And she wants the principal to allow all the kids to come together and talk about their feelings. But they don't do that. And not because they didn't do that. We then start to see Heather Chandler becoming more popular in death than even she was in life. Veronica and JD are at what I assume is JD's house. It's not nicely decorated, but you can tell it's a nice house. But in the living room, there's a weight set and a treadmill, and there's moving boxes still there. It kind of shows that JD doesn't stay anywhere for any length of time. His dad owns a construction company, but I truly feel like there's more to that story. We'll get to the mother, but so Veronica gets to meet the dad, and the dad and the son just kind of have this strange rapport with one another. It's just It's cold. It's as if they're acting like a father and son, but with a role reversal. It's weird. Heather Chandler's funeral. The priest says something about the kids in the MTV video games, which I thought was funny, and how Jesus Christ is a righteous dude.
Yes.
After the funeral and everyone's outside, Ram and Kurt accost these two nerds, and they're making the one kid say something like, "I like to suck big dicks." And JD rides by on his motorcycle and like witnesses this interaction. Heather McNamara begs Veronica to go on a date because now Kurt is interested in her. And so she needs Veronica to go to be like the wingman and go on a date with Ram. And Veronica's, I don't want to do this because we're just going to end up in a field tipping cows somewhere. And Heather McNamara promises that that's not going to be what happens. And that is exactly what happens. Veronica evades. Is it Kurt or Ram? Now I don't remember. And their faces blend into me. But basically, Veronica just fucks off. And JD is there at that field where
like he had a tracking device on her.
He followed her. He followed her without a doubt. There's a little bit of a unhealthy boundary being set there. The next day at school, Veronica's getting wind that there's a rumor going around that Veronica did some things to both of them. And Veronica decides to get her revenge by arranging a meetup with Kurt and tells him to bring Ram so she can live out this fantasy. Her and JD do discuss this. Oh, hold on. We got another quote. Come on. This is Ohio. If you don't have a brewski in your hand, you might as well wear a dress.
Yes, that's exactly what happens in Ohio.
I don't know if that's so true or if I'm offended.
Is that
a burn or is that very accurate? Jury's out on that.
Exactly. Veronica meets up with Ram and Kurt in the woods behind the school, and she makes them strip on the count of 3. JD shoots Ram, and Veronica goes to shoot Kurt, but she misses. JD gets really mad at Veronica. You missed. Oh, it's fine. It'll be funny later on. Not realizing that JD has actually shot and killed Ram. So JD goes after him. They catch him and shoot him. And they arrange them in a way that make them look like they were gay lovers, like mineral water. And that's what the cops look at. There's some other things. There's like a box of chocolates.
What does mineral water have to do with anything?
Well, that was the whole reason. It was like,
no, but what does that have to do with being gay?
Because it's too fancy of a water. Straight men would never drink that.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's when the police picked that up out of the bag. They're like, here's all the evidence we needed.
The one cop picked up the gun.
Oh, yeah. And the one cop just picks up the gun.
Completely dismissed.
It just
said there's mineral.
They completely dismiss anything. Like it was like they each shot each other. They were gay and they had mineral water.
Don't forget it. There's this whole random bag of stuff.
And so we go to the Ram and Kurt's funeral is held together because maybe the parent, like they hold it together because they were gay lovers, and they're both open casket with their football helmets.
Maybe it was a 2-for-1 deal.
Maybe. And the one dad is standing there and quote number 83, I love my dead gay son.
I say that all the time.
Oh my God, I say it all the time. All the time.
I love my dead gay son.
My dead gay son. And Veronica's writing in her diary that her teen angst has a body count.
It does.
Mrs. Fleming now gets her wish. and she gets to have a sit-in, and she's obviously called the news, and the news is there, and it's anarchy. It's just chaos, and everyone just seems to be milking it, right? No one really cares that anyone's dead because we're all teenagers, right? We're teenagers and
Yeah.
we only care about ourselves.
And be
And JD has a quote. It's like, chaos is what killed the dinosaurs, darling. When they're sitting at JD's house. And Veronica's like, he tells Veronica how his mom died. It's after all that. He tells her how she knew that they were going to be taking down this building, and it's done by dynamite, so it implodes internally, and that she walked in to this library that they were demolishing, and she killed herself. Now, whether or not this is true, you don't ever know.
Yeah.
You don't
seems a
ever
little
know
fishy.
if that is the story that's being told or what. Maybe the dad killed her and this is what has been instilled in his brain. We don't really know. And on the radio that's in the room is this fictitious band called Big Fun, I believe. It's called Big Fun. And there's the new hit song, Suicide. Don't do it.
Teenage suicide. Don't do it.
That plays on the radio, and JD shoots the radio. Veronica like slaps her, like she goes, "That's it. We're breaking up." They have like a struggle, like a real ass struggle, and it's really cringy.
The amount of red flag.
Oh, it was all red, like,
Insane.
that's it. We're breaking up. We now see JD walking into the chem lab at school, and he's meeting with Heather Duke. He produces pictures of Heather Duke and Martha as young friends. And so he's blackmailing her because he wants Heather Duke to take control in place of Heather Chandler. And he needs her to take this petition, and he tells her that this petition is to get the group Big Fun to play the prom. And Heather Duke does this, and she puts her own twist on it. And she makes it into a petition for many, many different things. But the whole point is to get all these signatures. Veronica calls Betty. She misses her friend Betty, and she calls her over, and they hang out, and they're playing croquet. We see Martha in the gym by herself. And then in a few more frames, we see her walking with a note taped to herself, walking into traffic. And you see that the color of the movie is turning blue. The contrast, so like the Remington party where all the lighting's red, we now get to the filter, the overlay of all these scenes are starting to become blue. Heather Duke, I don't know, does she come over to Veronica's house and they're talking or whatever, and they are like, oh, wait, it's time to listen to Hot Problems, a radio show. And that was like legitimately still a thing in the late 80s, early 90s was radio shows that you listen to. And I can still, oh my gosh, I can still think of ones that I would listen to with Courtney, like Word Jazz and like all those different.
Delilah.
And so they get to Hot Probs, and Heather McNamara, who's the cheerleader, Heather, calls in and she says her name, but then she backtracks it and then she tries to come up with a name, which is hard, really difficult for her. But I don't even remember what the issue was. That she called in about. It might have been about the guys. I don't remember. But Heather Duke, who is now donned the red scrunchy kind of deal, decides she is going to bury Heather the next day at school. And that causes Heather McNamara to attempt an overdose that Veronica saves her from. Heather Duke ultimately gets everyone to sign the petition JD gave her. JD and Veronica do encounter each other in the hall, and he acts like Veronica's coming back to him, but she's not. She's just fuck all the way off. Get away from me. I want nothing to do with you. And she returns home and discovers that JD had been there and had faked concern to her parents that Veronica was going to hurt herself. She goes to her room, blows her parents off. She does not take her parents seriously whatsoever. And she goes to her room, and there's a Barbie that is strung up by her neck, hanging from the ceiling. And she's over it. She's done. She lays down and she falls asleep. Has a very vivid dream. I'm not going to go into that part, but it's probably a couple hours later, maybe an hour later. And JD sneaks into Veronica's room, and he finds that she has hung herself. I don't know. I guess it's hard to talk about her hanging herself without talking about the dream, but I don't exactly remember the dream. But I think she figures out that she has to stop him. And she comes up with a plan. Part of her plan is to appear dead to JD. And so he sees her. She appears that she's full ass hung herself.
She wants to see how he reacts to a suicide that he didn't stage.
Yes. And he reacts like any normal sociopath would. He just talks to her about his plan to blow up the school and the petition and all of that. And so she hears all of it. Veronica returns to school. She goes back to school and she sees Mrs. Fleming, our hippie teacher, who okay. This is just such a brilliant line, and I think it gets overlooked. Whether to kill yourself or not is one of the most important decisions a teenager can make. And I think that's brilliant. And Veronica just looks at her and is just like, get a job. JD arrives at school with a whole bunch of dynamite.
Where does one get dynamite?
The dad, because he blows up all the fucking buildings for his construction business.
But it came from Looney Tunes.
I know it does.
Can you just acquire that? Like where?
Old-timey dynamite.
Yeah.
It's not even C4. It's just dynamite sticks. So JD is planting dynamite all around the school, setting timers or what have you. And Veronica finds JD as he's going into the boiler room. And she has a gun. And he still knocks her out. When she comes to, she grabs a fire extinguisher. And he hits her. He hits her good. She's beat up. And when she comes to, she grabs a fire extinguisher and tries to hit him with it. But he grabs her and starts making out with her.
He's turned
back. She's able to run and get the gun, but by the time she turns around, he's run off. But she gets to him. Maybe it's when she must be holding the gun to him at some point here, right? She catches up to him and she's, how do I turn off the goddamn bomb, asshole? And he's like, fuck you. And he flips her the bird and she literally shoots off his middle finger. And there's a pep rally happening. So there's a lot of stomping and everything. So nobody's hearing this gunshot. And she's like, why are you doing that? It all comes down is that he's killing everyone because no one loves him. So we've got some mommy issues. She ends up shooting him and she leaves the school. But then as she's leaving the school, so is he. So she didn't kill him. She might have thought she did. But he shows her that he's the bomb. And I think it's him who says, now that you're dead, what are you going to do with your life? And it lends back to that whole strange relationship he has with his dad, where he calls his dad son and the dad calls JD dad. And it's nobody's dead, but he's saying, like, now that you're dead, what are you going to do with your life? Veronica gets a cigarette out of her jacket. I mean, she's fucked up. She's taking a beating. And she gets a cigarette out of her jacket. She might have a broken arm, actually, because I don't think she's able to move one of the arms. And she puts it in her mouth. And the hand back and up where you see her on the stairs, but you don't see him. And he explodes. And I think when the kind of the dust clears, I think the cigarette is lit. I'd actually have to turn it back on, but I believe that the explosion does light her cigarette. She encounters Heather Duke in the hallway, and she rips the red scrunchie off of her and puts it in her hair. And she's like, there's a new sheriff in town. And she goes and she sees Martha, and Martha had walked out into traffic, but she didn't die. She is at school and she's got a neck brace on and she's in a scooter. Veronica asks Martha if she asks her if she's going to prom, I believe. And Martha says, no, I'm not going to prom. And do you want to rent some movies or pop some popcorn and rent some movies? And Martha says, yes. And so they start going away from you, from the camera. They're going away from you down the hall. And that's the end scene.
I'd like to talk about the costume designer, Rudy Dillon, who
Okay.
used color to solidify the high school hierarchy. So Heather Chandler's color was red,
Yes.
and it symbolized power, dominance, and aggression. And Heather McNamara's color was yellow,
Hello.
which represented cheerfulness, masking insecurity.
Was Heather Duke yellow?
Heather
Oh, green. She was green.
Yeah, Heather Duke was
She was
green,
green.
which represented ultimate envy. And Veronica Sawyer's color was blue, which represented melancholy and rebellion against the Heathers.
So much blue. She looked like a Smurf.
Yeah, lots of blue.
It was brilliant.
And Shannon Doherty was not allowed to swear. Her mother wouldn't let
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
I like the lighting and the coloring. I just think it's lost. Man, it has so many layers to it. That's what I think I'm trying to say, is that it's not this one thing. I guess we can talk about that in the rewatch, but I guess we can talk about how it was received.
Where did you guys watch this at?
Oh, Amazon Prime. I believe.
Free.
I watched it. Sorry.
I watched it.
I'm sorry. I have to preface that. I watched it on Amazon Prime for free.
I watched it on Pluto for free. The app on my TV works well. But you can also watch it on Tubi for free and Philo for free. Sling, if you have a subscription, a Fubo. You can also purchase it to rent on Fandango, YouTube, Apple TV, and Google Play.
But there's plenty of places to see it for free. So I don't know why anyone would pay for it. So how did it made no money, but how was it reviewed?
It made no money, but believe it or not, this movie is certified fresh.
See, here's the thing. I don't know why we're using, speaking of amalgamations, should we be using things like certified fresh? Because
That's how
I
they
don't
refer
know.
to it.
Who?
The tomato meter.
Well, forget Rotten Tomatoes. Forget Rotten Tomatoes exists for a second. How do you know how it was received? Is Metascore more accurate than Rotten Tomatoes, data wise? Because Rotten Tomatoes seems to be skewed.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway,
I would think Metascore would be more accurate than Tomato Meter, but I don't know whether or not that's true.
because in the Metascore, it got a 72 based on 20 critic reviews. But Tomato Meter has it at 95% based on 59 reviews. What qualifies a review?
Yeah.
Right. I think it's any review.
So to me, because when Metascore says 20 critic reviews, to me, that's an amalgam. That's a
But what about IMDb?
IMDb is user rating. You can rate your shit through IMDb. So that may be both together.
Yeah.
But
So
Metascore is the one where it seems to be like, this is the critic score and this is the user score. And it's like, it differentiates between the two. I know this is a technical conversation. I'm just saying
yeah,
72 is a lot different than 95.
for
And that,
sure.
you know what I mean? So who were the 20 critic reviews behind the Metascore? That's all I'm saying.
So
Anybody.
I guess this movie got somewhere between 72 and 95%.
Okay. It's a huge delta.
Right.
It's anywhere between a high D and an A.
So it got a 72 out of 100. I would believe that. A 95 out of 100. I don't believe that. I don't believe that's how it was reviewed at the time.
But it was
Yeah.
generally favorable.
No, I'm not saying 72 is a bad score.
No,
72
I'm
is a
just-
good score.
I'm saying that. So the reviews on this is that it's generally favorable. But between Metascore gave it a 72.
Which is good.
IMDb gave it 7.1 out of 10, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
The tomato meter gave it 95%, but
doesn't
we're not
seem right.
sure if those are like actual critics or if that's a combination of critics and other people that
But like more modern people who have, so I think it includes
Right.
more modern interpretations of the movie. And I don't think I give a fuck about modern interpretations of the movie. I
Right.
want at that time, how was this movie reviewed? I don't care about
So our-
Joe Schmo in 2008 reviewing it.
And then you've got the popcorn meter, which is 83%, which is people can review that all the way up until today.
And it's very rare, sticking with tomato meter, it's very rare to have a higher tomato meter than popcorn meter.
Yeah.
And the reviews that we have segregated range anywhere from being done in 1999 up to 2023.
But those are the dates they're posted. That's another
Exactly.
thing. Is so
Right.
Timmy Francis, that may have been posted in 2023, but he did the review in 1989. We don't know.
It says that the film had a mixed to positive critical reception upon its release, and its pitch black satire of teen suicide and cliques provided divisive for mainstream reviewers. Roger Ebert at the time awarded the film a mostly positive review, describing it as a bleak, macabre, and bitingly satirical take on teenage life, though he found its macabre tone disorienting. The New Yorker said Pauline Kael gave it a negative review, calling it a collection of sick jokes that lacks a punchline. The box
Pauline.
office, despite being a critical darling in certain circles, it flopped hard at the box office, grossing only $1.1 million during its initial theatrical run. Over the years, the film achieved cult classic status, but initial reviews were all over the map.
Okay. And like in our show notes, Mick LaSalle at the SF Chronicle, he's reviewing this 20 years after its release. That's not fair.
No,
I mean,
It's not.
it's what we're doing. It is what we're doing, basically.
I would say
I don't know. I almost
generally,
feel like we have to dive a little deeper into reviews.
at the time, it was not well received.
I want a microfiche in my house.
We'll get you one.
Thank you.
Do you-
Now
Squirrel.
I don't even want to read. I don't even want to read these reviews now.
The reviews, they're still valid reviews. It's just, I think we have to take it into the context in which it was written. That's all.
All right.
Yeah, I think that if you look at the how it's received now, it's generally favorable.
Yeah.
But at the time that the movie came out, it was not favorable.
Yes.
So that kind of
So-
circles back to, did it age well? Because apparently people like it now, but they didn't like it then.
So it's more relevant,
Yes.
unfortunately. Roger Ebert, and this was posted in 1999, gave it a splat with 2.5 out of 4. He does what, stars? Yeah. And he said, for a long time, we're not even sure of the point of view. Is this a black comedy about murder or just a cynical morality play? The traveler in the foreign country is not sure, but he knows the film inspires thoughts.
Huh?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then Janet Maslin from the New York Times, and this was posted in 2003, gave it a tomato and said, as snappy and assured as it is mean spirited. So short and sweet. Terry Francis from Southern Voice in Atlanta, this was posted in 2023, gave it a tomato and said, roughly the first 2/3 of Heathers is sharp and illustrative. Finally, though, it lapses into teaching the audience a morale. I don't think that's spelled right. That good ultimately triumphs over evil. I agree with that.
No, he's saying finally, though, it lapses into teaching the audience a moral, that good ultimately triumphs over evil.
Sure.
Yes.
I like that one. And Mike LaSalle from the San Francisco Chronicle this was posted in 2008, gave it a tomato with 4 out of 4 and said 2 decades later, Heathers is so on the money with its vague but unmistakable parallels to several school shootings that it could never be made today. Now that's a deep one, and this was 18 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could never
Hmm.
make this. You could never make this
No.
movie today. No.
No
And
way.
have it be a comedy.
No.
No. No, and that kind of goes into my review of it of, did it age well? Unfortunately, not so much with how many school shootings and mass casualties there are. Just saw on YouTube that there was just another mass casualty in Maine. I don't think it was a shooting, but it was an unfortunate incident. But anyway, with all of the shootings going on and not even necessarily just gun violence, but violence in any respect is just so out of hand that remaking this today would not go well. To me, I would put this on a super cringe level. I was pretty uncomfortable watching it, primarily due to the fact that a lot of that stuff is so accurate and it's so discerning. It's heartbreaking because there is so much bullying and body shaming, and that's in the movie and also relevant today. Seeing all the emotions that teenagers go through with suicidal ideation. And that's a huge thing with teenagers. The girl clique bullying, that kind of put me back to my high school days being with all girls. And I think Kristin can attest to this too. You get these gir- girl cliques that are just unstoppable and ruthless, and it just sucks. So going and seeing that happen again, and then also the teenage male sexual imposition that likes to happen in all of these movies. Who the fuck do you think you are? Get off of her and go about your merry way. Just stop. Stop it already. But I did that it ended with some heart, and she opened up and welcomed a dump truck and got back with her friend Betty Finn. Betty Finn. Yeah. So I thought that was very nice. She overcame her mind and heart let her overcome the popularity part that made her realize it's not worth it. Just be true to yourself and be true to other people. Who cares if they're not thin and blonde and pretty and wearing the biggest shoulder pad that you can find? People are people. You don't know what they're going through. Just be kind to everyone. And I think that's also what kind of freaked me, sketched me out about this is just the closed mindedness. And if it were ever on again, I don't know. I don't care how free it is. I know it's a cult classic, but I'm not interested in watching it again. But I am glad I watched it just to get some perspective.
Well, the question isn't would you watch it? The question is if you saw it on TV on a Saturday while you're cleaning your house, are you
I
gonna
just said I
sit-
wouldn't watch it again.
Yeah, but you say you wouldn't sit down and watch it again. Nobody needs to sit down and watch it again. It's would you keep
No.
it on TV? No.
No, I would not. I think that's all I got.
Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome. I'm here anytime.
Thanks. I think I'm gonna also give it a super cringe. Immediately I can think of things that are like certain parts of the movie that are like, oh my God. I'll give an example. What are the football players' names again? I don't remember. The football player
Ram.
dudes. Ram and what's
McPherson.
his yeah. They're sitting in the cafeteria and they're like, I'd like to have a Heather sandwich. I'd take one of them and put them on my Johnson and spin them around like a pinwheel. And wow, what the fuck? The fact that obviously this movie cannot be remade. We've got suicide, we've got murder, we've got this obviously domestic dispute relationship that is volatile. We've got the bullying, we've got fat shaming, we've got nerd shaming, we've got, just all this bullying that's going on. As a 40-something-year-old, we can look back and see all the things that were wrong, that are wrong with it. But at the time, we all did experience this kind of stuff. So I have to appreciate the fact that it is kind of accurate, except for, like murdering people. There was bullying going on. There was fat shaming going on. There was people called people gay as like a derogatory comment, which is not acceptable today at all. So there's so many parts of it that you're like, cringe. I think that, the fact that like JD's whole character, I don't really understand why he's so screwed up. I'm guessing it's because of his horrible childhood.
You're wondering why?
No, I don't understand why
He's moved 7 times in 7 years.
sure, and there's people who move.
And he has a dead mother and a disassociated father.
Sure, and I get that. And there's plenty of people who have that, but they don't necessarily kill
And nobody
people.
loves him.
Yeah,
And he's wearing a trench coat.
that's true. He is wearing a trench coat. I was going to mention that. I guess I feel bad for him, but that also teaches us not to trust people named Jason.
Whoa! Nerd! Dang!
Because he's Jason Dean. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, we could pick out a million reasons why this movie is like super cringy, but I have a sort of love for this movie. There are funny parts to it. The one-liners are like, I still quote this movie all the time. It's ingrained into my memory. I can quote the movie. I think that when I was younger, we weren't allowed to watch this movie. And then somehow I ended up.
There was no younger. We were high school.
Okay, when I was in high school, I remember I wasn't really allowed to watch this. Or in my mind, I thought I wasn't allowed to watch it. And then I watched it somewhere, one of my friends' houses. And then it was like people talked about this movie all the time. People quoted this movie all the time. And so it just became part of a thing. And so that's why I liked it. Now I see what's wrong with it.
Well, you're seeing it through a different lens.
I'm seeing it through a 40-something-year-old
like-
lady lens.
At the time,
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with it, except,
It was relatable.
yeah, it was relatable except for,
and we
you know,
didn't live in a world of mass shootings. We didn't live in a world of child genocide. We didn't live in that world.
correct.
Today we do.
Which is, I don't know, it's tough. But if it comes on and I see that it's on, yeah, I'm going to watch it.
So you were super, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I have to look at the cringe scale. I guess I'm going to have to go extreme on this one. Nah, maybe super, maybe high super.
Really contemplating extreme also. I think also because of like all the gay reference too. And
Yeah, so I think based on the question is, did it age well? No, not at
No.
all. And literally anything in it, Carole, you'll point out, I'd like to see a remake of this and see how they would adapt it to today. I do not want to see a remake or
Yeah.
how they would adapt it to today.
no.
So I am going to go with,
No way.
I think I'm going to go with extreme on this. It did not age well at all,
No.
but it's brilliant. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Because
Yeah,
at
that's what
that
makes it
time,
hard.
1989, take yourself back to 1989. So we already know it hasn't aged well. We get that. But at that time, taking all of those known tropes of high school and just blowing them up, right? Just making them the extreme of the cliques, of just taking it to that nth degree, I think at that time was brilliant. It really put on the front of this how ridiculous these cliques are. And I think, is there really a movie that did this? Maybe, but not to this extent. Also, we're about to hit the 90s. We're getting a little bit more edgy with the storytelling in these movies that, like, lost my train of thought. But being a cliquey girl group within my class didn't make it very cool anymore. By the time I got to high school, at least in my experience, those cliques weren't as exclusive. Not because of this movie. That's not what I'm saying. But I feel like people in Tavia's world in like mid to early 80s high school experienced it a lot more than we did in the late 80s, early 90s, like I did at St. Mark's. It was horrible. It was horrible. I'm not saying it was blown up and it didn't exist. It existed. But for me, I feel like, I don't know, it blew it up. It made it ridiculous. It's kind of like whatever that curse is it's ridiculous in Harry Potter, right? Make your scariest thing ridiculous. And I feel like that's what Heathers did. But also shows Veronica could have gone either way, right? Veronica could have gone along with JD. Let's blow up the school. They could have gone off on to be Honey Bunny and Pumpkin and Pulp Fiction for all we knew, right? But she didn't. She stayed true to who she was. And by inviting Betty Finn over and then asking Martha, like going back to her, who she is, and that she didn't lose that and she never lost that. It also showed cool kids are temporary. That's what that showed of the Heathers group. This is all temporary. Yeah, and you had mentioned something that, of course, the gay stuff, like ridiculous, stupid, but also shit, that was hilarious. Yeah, they're dead and there's mineral water. Mineral water. Come on.
And what was the postcard?
Oh, God.
Joan Collins?
Yeah, I think so. And I feel like, and I don't know how I know this. Maybe Alana, I'm not sure. But I think body shaming's back. And the Gen Ayers are back to it, like hardcore. And so you're not allowed to be fat. You're not allowed to be fat anymore, which is unfortunate. So seeing that is kind of sad. But the body shaming, calling someone dumb truck, the whole Ram and Kurt, JD and his really aggressive advances on Veronica was really triggering. And yeah, so I'm going to give it an extreme. But if it's on, I don't have TV anymore. But if it was on, I would keep it on. It's funny.
Yeah.
And that's what black comedy is. It just is what it is. It's not slapstick. It's not Caddyshack. It's not that kind of humor. And that's what makes it a black comedy. And
Caddyshack wasn't funny though.
No, but it's not funny. But yeah, if it's on, I see it's on. I would probably keep it. It's a classic. It's one of the few movies I own.
Awesome. That was Heathers, a movie that basically said, yeah, high school is a scam. Popularity is meaningless. And the cool kids are usually the most miserable people in the building. Also, that fitting in will cost you your entire personality, and your parents have absolutely no idea what's going on with you. It's deeply messed up, but maybe that's the point.
And the lesson is never trust anyone who says greetings and salutations like they mean it. And if a guy seems like the brooding bad boy who finally gets you, he's probably just a red flag in a trench coat.
Thanks for joining us at the Shermer High Alumni Association. If you had as much fun as we did, hit follow, leave a review, and share this episode with your fellow 80s movie lovers. Until next time, be kind and don't forget to rewind. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Good job, everybody.
That was lovely.
Somebody's getting married. Somebody
It's-
get the chapel. Somebody get a ring. Somebody get a choir.
Oh.
Something to sing. Somebody get a sweet negligee. 'Cause somebody's getting married today.
My God, how do you know this shit?
You
Matt.
said the word married.